In the quiet expanse of the Nevada desert, the night was shattered by a blaze of otherworldly lights. As citizens and scientists alike looked up, dozens of sleek metallic vessels sliced through the sky, their presence undeniable and awe-inspiring. The Vraxar had arrived, their ships encircling Earth with the precision of hunters surrounding their prey. Humanity's first response was one of bewildered fascination mixed with growing dread. Every nation watched, tense and uncertain, as these alien invaders initiated their first chilling broadcast. "We are the Vraxar. Your planet has been selected for integration. Resistance is not advised." Dr. Marcus Bennett, a leading astrophysicist at the SETI Institute, was among the first to engage with the Vraxar, attempting dialogue through the nascent communication channels. Initial interactions were strained, the humans eager to find common ground, while the Vraxar remained dismissive, barely concealing their contempt for what they perceived as a technologically inferior species. Meanwhile, military forces worldwide were on high alert, but their usual readiness was tinged with a sense of futility. Advanced Vraxar technology quickly neutralized Earth satellite systems, causing global communication and surveillance disruptions. It was a demonstration of power meant to cow humanity into submission, showcasing the Vraxar's capability to impose their will with little effort. Despite the overwhelming display of alien superiority, not all were ready to concede defeat. In hidden bases and secret meetings, world leaders and their advisors debated their few options. Some advocated for surrender, to spare Earth the horrors of a hopeless war. Others, fueled by defiance, proposed a resistance, regardless of the odds. Amidst this turmoil, Dr. Lina Mireles, a lesser-known chemist specializing in atmospheric sciences, discovered an anomaly during a routine analysis of atmospheric data, a spike in O18 isotopes, coinciding with the arrival of the alien fleet. Curious and troubled by the potential implications, she began to theorize that Earth's unique atmospheric composition might hold the key to countering the alien threat. As dawn broke over the planet, the Vraxar's patience waned, and they issued an ultimatum. With humanity's leaders divided and the world's military capabilities crippled, the stage was set for an unprecedented challenge. The choices made in the next few hours would determine the fate of the human race, pushing unsuspecting heroes like Lina to the forefront of a desperate struggle for survival. In the high command ship orbiting Earth, Commander Silas observed the planet below with a mixture of disdain and impatience. To him, Earth was a primitive rock, its chaotic, colorful landscapes as disordered as the scrambled communications he intercepted from its inhabitants. As the Vraxar fleet's supreme leader in this sector, he had seen many worlds fold under his command. Earth, he presumed, would be no different, a quick conquest. The Vraxar were a species that revered strength and technology, their culture built around the expansion of their empire and the subjugation of lesser civilizations. Earth's technology was primitive compared to theirs. Their warships alone could obliterate cities, and their shields could withstand any human-made weapon known to their scanners. Silas was confident that the human response would be swift capitulation. As he prepared to broadcast his demands, his second-in-command, Terex, approached with reports from their latest atmospheric analysis. "Commander, the scans confirm high levels of primitive fossil fuels and widespread pollution. It's as we expected, technologically backward and environmentally unstable." Silas smirked, dismissing the one unusual spike in the data, the increased levels of O18. "They burn their planet for energy," he scoffed, "a species still chained to combustion. Prepare the assimilation protocol. Any resistance will be met with immediate suppression." Back on Earth, as leaders and military strategists grappled with the reality of the Vraxar's power, Dr. Lina Mireles and her colleagues at a covert research facility analyzed the unusual atmospheric data. Lina's discovery of the O18 isotopic anomaly was becoming more intriguing. Her hypothesis suggested that these isotopes could be weaponized, but she needed more data and time. Resources in painfully short supply as the Vraxar's deadline loomed. Meanwhile, major cities around the world were in a state of panic and confusion. In New York, Paris, Tokyo, and elsewhere, civilians scrambled for shelter as governments enforced martial law, trying to maintain order amidst the fear of imminent attack. Every eye looked skyward, watching the alien ships that hung like steel clouds over their world. In a secure location, world leaders conducted emergency sessions with top military officials and scientists, including Dr. Bennett and Dr. Morellis, who was brought in to explain her findings. Her presentation outlined a daring plan to use Earth's unique atmospheric properties against the invaders. Skeptical but desperate, the coalition gave her the green light to assemble a team and equip them with whatever they needed to test her theory. Dr. Lena Morellis and her newly assembled team worked around the clock in a secure underground facility, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The lab was abuzz with activity, with scientists from diverse fields pooling their expertise. Lena's theory had sparked a beacon of hope, and now they were racing against time to turn that hope into a viable defense. The team's goal was to enhance the natural occurrence of O18 in the atmosphere and to develop a method to direct and amplify its effects against the Vraxar technology. Lena hypothesized that the isotopic variants might interfere with the aliens' energy systems, potentially disabling their advanced weaponry or even their propulsion systems. While Lena's team was buried in their research, the world above continued to reel under the threat of Vraxar dominance. Cities remained on high alert, with curfews enforced and military patrols in the streets. Despite the palpable tension, life struggled to persist within the new confines of alien surveillance. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Silas watched the developments on Earth with a mix of amusement and annoyance. He was aware of the increased military movements and the attempts at consolidation among Earth's nations, but these efforts seemed pitifully inadequate. "Let them scurry about," he remarked to Terex. "They will soon realize the futility of their actions." Back on Earth, Lena's breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a series of high-energy experiments aimed at isolating and enhancing O18, her team stumbled upon a reaction that exceeded all expectations. The isotopes, when charged under specific conditions, emitted a powerful energy pulse that disrupted electronic systems temporarily. The lab equipment flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness before emergency systems kicked in. Excited by this accidental discovery, the team refined the process, creating a prototype device capable of generating a targeted pulse. Testing it on various electronic systems confirmed its potential. The O18 pulse effectively disabled advanced circuitry. This was the weapon they needed, but the challenge was deploying it on a scale large enough to affect the Vraxar fleet. With the prototype in hand, Lena presented her findings to the Global Defense Council via a secure communication link. The Council, desperate for any advantage, approved immediate production and deployment of the weapon. "This might be our only chance," the U.S. President said, reflecting the gravity of their situation. "We need to strike before they move to occupy major cities." As Earth's forces rallied around this new weapon, the Vraxar continued their preparations for a full-scale invasion. Unaware of the breakthrough below, they remained confident in their technological superiority and their imminent victory. As the Global Defense Council rallied around Dr. Lena Morellis' breakthrough, an unprecedented level of cooperation unfolded among Earth's nations. Every available resource was diverted toward mass-producing the O18 pulse devices. Manufacturing plants that once produced cars and electronics were now repurposed to churn out these new weapons, reflecting a world united under a common cause. Simultaneously, military strategists and scientists worked together to integrate the O18 technology into Earth's defense systems. Special units trained in the deployment and operation of this new weaponry, preparing for the possibility of close encounters with Vraxar forces. Fighter jets and drones were retrofitted to carry the O18 devices, turning them into flying weapons capable of disabling alien tech. In secret locations worldwide, from the underground bunkers of the U.S. to the remote outposts of Russia and hidden bases in the mountains of China, leaders and soldiers prepared for what might be humanity's last stand. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a newfound sense of determination, a resolve to protect their home against the alien threat. Meanwhile, Commander Silas, observing the flurry of activity on Earth, grew impatient. "These creatures are like ants," he remarked disdainfully to his crew. "No matter how busy they seem, they are just scurrying towards their doom." Unbeknownst to him, the humans were not just preparing to defend, they were gearing up to strike. Back on Earth, Lena continued to refine the technology, enhancing its range and potency. Her team discovered that the O18 pulses could be amplified through Earth's ionosphere, potentially increasing their disruptive effects. This revelation opened up the possibility of a coordinated global strike, using the ionosphere as a conduit to unleash a massive synchronized attack on the Vraxar fleet. As the D-Day approached, hidden messages and signals were sent out, coordinating the timing of the global strike. Civilians were moved to shelters, and cities were evacuated where possible, to minimize casualties from any retaliatory attacks by the Vraxar. In the quiet before the storm, families huddled together, finding comfort in one another. People across the globe watched the skies, knowing that the battle to come would determine their fate. Prayers, thoughts, and hopes mingled in the tense air, each person grappling with the reality of the imminent conflict. As the first light of dawn tinted the sky, the coordinated attack was launched. Fighter jets, armed with the new technology, took off from bases around the world, ascending through the atmosphere. Simultaneously, ground-based launch stations aimed their O-18 devices skyward, ready to fire the charged pulses. Commander Silas, caught off guard by the sudden and intense flurry of activity from the planet below, scrambled his ships into defensive positions. But as the first wave of O-18 pulses reached their ships, the effects were immediate and devastating. Ship systems faltered, shields flickered, and communications were disrupted. The initial success of the global O-18 pulse strike against the Vraxar fleet marked a turning point in the battle for Earth. Across the globe, human forces, buoyed by their early victory, launched a full-scale offensive. Skies that once featured the serene glow of stars were now lit with the fires of battle, as human pilots engaged Vraxar crafts in dogfights that twisted and turned through the heavens. In the command center of the lead Vraxar ship, chaos reigned. Commander Silas, stunned by the unexpected ferocity and effectiveness of the human counterattack, struggled to regain control. His ships, designed for intimidation and swift conquest, were faltering under the relentless human assault. "Regroup and counterattack," he barked orders, refusing to believe that such a primitive species could muster such resistance. On Earth, Dr. Lena Morellis monitored the battle from her command post, adjusting strategies in real time. She coordinated with military leaders to optimize the deployment of the O-18 devices, ensuring that each pulse maximized its disruptive effect. "We've got them on the back foot. Let's keep pushing," she urged, her voice a steady beacon amidst the storm of war. As the battle intensified, cities that had been evacuated watched from afar, their streets empty and silent, save for the distant echoes of conflict above. In these ghost towns, the few remaining military and emergency personnel worked tirelessly to maintain order and provide aid, their spirits lifted by the news of each Vraxar ship disabled or destroyed. In space, the human forces utilized not only the O-18 pulses but also their knowledge of Earth's terrain and atmosphere. Pilots led Vraxar ships into traps where atmospheric anomalies disrupted alien sensors, and ground forces used guerrilla tactics that leveraged the uneven and varied landscapes of Earth. Forests, mountains, and deserts became battlegrounds where human ingenuity clashed with alien technology. One particularly intense skirmish occurred over the Pacific Ocean, where a squadron of human jets led by Captain Michel Vasquez executed a daring plan. They lured a Vraxar destroyer into a low orbit, where the ionized atmosphere was thickest, before releasing a massive O-18 pulse. The pulse, supercharged by the ionosphere, enveloped the destroyer, short-circuiting its systems and leading to a critical failure. As the ship went down in flames, a cheer erupted across the human communications network. However, victory was not without cost. Each human life lost weighed heavily on the hearts of the commanders and fighters. Captain Vasquez herself narrowly escaped a deadly counterfire, her aircraft limping back to base with severe damage. The reality of war, its peril and price, was never clearer than in those moments of narrow escapes and painful losses. As the sun set on what would be known as the Battle of the Blue Sky, the tide of war seemed to have turned in humanity's favor. Commander Silas, now fully aware of the threat posed by Earth's defenders, retreated his remaining forces to regroup, his confidence shaken but not shattered. "This isn't over," he vowed, his eyes burning with a mix of rage and respect for his adversaries. Back on Earth, celebrations were muted by the gravity of the situation. While they had won the battle, the war was far from over. Lena and her team worked through the night, planning the next phases of the defense, ready to use every resource, every moment of respite, to prepare for what they knew would be a continued struggle. As the Vraxar forces retreated to the dark side of the moon, licking their wounds and reassessing their strategy, Commander Silas faced the harsh truth. Earth was not the easy conquest he had anticipated. The human resistance was unlike anything the Vraxar had encountered before. The Earth's defenders had turned their apparent weaknesses into unexpected strengths, using their planet's unique characteristics and their own ingenuity to great effect. On Earth, the aftermath of the Battle of the Blue Sky was a mix of cautious optimism and grim determination. Cities began to pulse with life again as evacuees returned, though the scars of the battle were evident everywhere. Craters from downed alien craft marred the landscapes, and the skies occasionally flickered with the remnants of high-altitude explosions. Dr. Lena Morellis and her team did not waste the brief respite. They improved the O-18 technology, increasing its efficiency and the radius of effect. New tactical applications were developed, including stationary defense installations that could create protective domes over strategic locations. "We must be ready for their next move," Lena stated firmly during a strategy meeting. "They will adapt, and so must we." Meanwhile, guerrilla tactics on the ground became more organized. Resistance cells formed, composed of civilians and military personnel trained to use the O-18 devices and conduct hit-and-run attacks. These cells operated under the radar, striking at Vraxar ground forces that were attempting to establish forward bases on Earth. Commander Silas, now in a war council with his top advisors, was devising a counter-strategy. "The humans are resourceful," he conceded, "but they have not faced the full might of our technological arsenal." He ordered the construction of a new weapon, one that could potentially turn the tide back in their favor, a massive orbital disruptor designed to neutralize Earth's O-18 defenses from space. Back on Earth, intelligence of this new Vraxar weapon reached the Global Defense Council. The stakes were higher than ever, and a preemptive strike against the Vraxar's lunar base was proposed. A daring mission was quickly put together, combining aerial assault capabilities with ground forces to sabotage the Vraxar's weapon before it could become operational. The mission was led by Captain Michelle Vasquez, who had become a symbol of human resilience and defiance. She and her elite team of pilots and soldiers embarked on the most critical mission yet, aware that the success or failure of this operation could decide the war's outcome. "We strike hard, we strike fast, and we do not relent until that weapon is dust," she briefed her team, her voice resolute. The attack on the moon was intense. Human forces encountered stiff resistance from the Vraxar, who were prepared for an assault but not for the ferocity and determination of the Earth fighters. Fighting in low gravity, the humans used their agility to great advantage, navigating the lunar surface with specialized equipment. After hours of fierce combat, Captain Vasquez and her team reached the orbital disruptor. Charges were set, and they retreated just in time to witness the explosion that sent shockwaves through the Vraxar ranks. The disruptor was destroyed, ensuring Earth's defenses would remain intact for the foreseeable future. With their strategic weapon lost, the morale among the Vraxar troops plummeted. Commander Silas watched the explosion from his command ship, his fury barely contained. "Prepare for a full assault," he ordered, deciding that direct, overwhelming force was his remaining option. On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the mission's success spread. But Lena, ever cautious, reminded everyone, "This victory is crucial, but it is not the end. We must prepare for their counterattack, which will come with everything they have left." With the destruction of the Vraxar's orbital disruptor, Earth had bought itself precious time. The Global Defense Council, buoyed by their recent victories, doubled down on their efforts to strengthen Earth's defenses and prepare for the inevitable Vraxar counterattack. Dr. Lena Morellis and her team worked tirelessly to innovate, developing new strategies and technologies to counter any potential threats from the Vraxar. They enhanced the O-18 pulse devices, refining their effectiveness and increasing their range. They also explored new avenues of defense, studying the Vraxar's technology for weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, on the Vraxar command ship, Commander Silas was growing increasingly frustrated. His plans for a swift conquest of Earth had been thwarted at every turn, and now, faced with the resilience and determination of the human defenders, he knew that victory would not come easily. Desperate to regain the upper hand, Silas ordered his fleet to launch a massive assault on Earth. Wave after wave of Vraxar ships descended upon the planet, unleashing devastating firepower upon human cities and military installations. But the humans were ready. Armed with their enhanced O-18 pulse devices and fortified defenses, they met the Vraxar onslaught head-on. Fighter jets streaked through the skies, engaging Vraxar ships in fierce dogfights, while ground forces repelled enemy incursions with a relentless barrage of firepower. In space, human spacecraft clashed with Vraxar vessels in epic battles that spanned the void between Earth and the Moon. The darkness of space was illuminated by the fiery explosions of destroyed ships, as human pilots fought bravely against overwhelming odds. As the battle raged on, Captain Michelle Vasquez found herself at the forefront of the fight once again. Leading a squadron of fighter jets, she engaged the Vraxar ships with unmatched skill and determination, inspiring her fellow pilots to push themselves beyond their limits. But even as the human defenders fought valiantly, the sheer size and firepower of the Vraxar fleet threatened to overwhelm them. Cities burned, and casualties mounted as the relentless assault continued unabated. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Lena Morales and her team worked feverishly to turn the tide of the battle. Drawing on their knowledge of Earth's atmosphere and the Vraxar's technology, they developed a daring plan to cripple the enemy fleet once and for all. As the Vraxar ships pressed their attack, Lena's plan was put into motion. Using a network of satellites armed with advanced O-18 pulse cannons, they unleashed a coordinated barrage of energy pulses that swept through the Vraxar fleet like a tidal wave. The effect was devastating. Vraxar ships faltered and fell from the sky, their systems overwhelmed by the sheer power of the pulses. In a matter of moments, the tide of the battle had turned, as human forces surged forward, driving the Vraxar invaders back. Commander Silas, watching from his command ship, could scarcely believe what he was seeing. Earth's defenders had found a way to defeat his fleet, despite all his efforts to crush them. With his forces in disarray and his plans in ruins, he knew that he had no choice but to retreat. And so, as the last remnants of the Vraxar fleet fled into the depths of space, humanity emerged victorious. The battle for Earth had been won, not through brute force or overwhelming firepower, but through courage, determination, and the ingenuity of its defenders. As the dust settled and the fires of battle burned out, the people of Earth stood united, their spirits unbroken by the trials they had endured. They had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known, and emerged triumphant, proving once and for all that humanity was not to be underestimated. With the Vraxar fleet in full retreat, humanity's victory over the alien invaders seemed assured. As the remnants of the Vraxar forces scattered into the depths of space, Earth's defenders wasted no time in consolidating their gains and preparing for the next phase of the conflict. Dr. Lena Morales and her team worked tirelessly to assess the damage inflicted upon Earth and to fortify the planet's defenses against any potential future threats. They analyzed the data gathered from the battles, searching for weaknesses in the Vraxar's technology that could be exploited in future encounters. Meanwhile, world leaders convened to discuss the aftermath of the conflict and to chart a course for the future. The unity forged in the crucible of war remained strong, as nations pledged to support one another and to work together to rebuild and recover from the devastation wrought by the Vraxar invasion. But even as humanity celebrated its hard-won victory, ominous signs began to appear on the horizon. Reports trickled in from distant outposts and observatories, indicating that the Vraxar were regrouping, gathering their forces for a final, desperate assault on Earth. Commander Silas, his pride wounded and his plans in ruins, refused to accept defeat. With the remnants of his fleet at his command, he vowed to reclaim his honor and to crush the humans once and for all. Gathering his most loyal followers, he set out to rally support among the scattered remnants of the Vraxar Empire. But the Vraxar were a fractured and weakened species, their once mighty empire now crumbling under the weight of their defeat. As news of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy, other alien races began to question the Vraxar's strength and resolve, leading to internal strife and conflict within their ranks. Back on Earth, humanity remained vigilant, aware that the threat posed by the Vraxar was far from over. Dr. Lena Morales and her team continued their research, developing new technologies and strategies to defend against future attacks. Military forces remained on high alert, ready to repel any incursions into Earth's territory. And so, as the galaxy watched and waited, humanity stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Forged in the fires of war, they had proven themselves to be a species worthy of respect and admiration, capable of overcoming even the most formidable adversaries. As the threat of the Vraxar invasion faded into memory, humanity emerged from the crucible of war forever changed. The victory over the alien invaders had not only secured Earth's survival, but it also forged a new sense of unity and purpose among its people. In the aftermath of the conflict, Earth's nations came together to rebuild and repair the damage inflicted by the Vraxar invasion. Cities that had been reduced to rubble were reconstructed, and communities that had been torn apart by war began to heal. The scars of battle remained, but they served as a reminder of the resilience and strength of humanity in the face of adversity. Dr. Lena Morales and her team were hailed as heroes, their contributions to the defense of Earth celebrated and honored. Their research into the O18 pulse technology paved the way for new advancements in defense systems, ensuring that Earth would be better prepared to face any future threats that might arise. Meanwhile, Commander Silas and the remnants of the Vraxar fleet were hunted down and captured by Earth's military forces. With their leadership shattered and their fleet decimated, the Vraxar posed little threat to humanity's newfound peace and stability. In the years that followed, Earth flourished, its newfound unity and cooperation leading to unprecedented advancements in science, technology, and exploration. Human colonies were established on other planets and moons within the solar system, expanding humanity's reach into the cosmos. But while the threat of the Vraxar had been vanquished, new challenges emerged on the horizon. Earth's victory had not gone unnoticed by other alien races in the galaxy, some of whom viewed humanity's newfound strength with curiosity, others with envy or hostility.